All right, party people, here we go. Time to talk some more bowling. That's what I like to do. So here we are, talking some bowling. So we got day one, the PWBA, the Northern Colorado Open, and some fun things happened. Had our the first perfect game of the PWBA season, and I got a little bit of that footage, and thought I'd share it with you. And then we had a nice run from Stephanie Zavala, at the end of the block, and show you some of her scoring. I did post a little short of her shooting 278. So yeah, it was just the 10th frame. So you know, um, if you get time, you can go watch that and just kind of see what her last three frames look like in that 278 game. That was her game six, so that was her game one of the second block. So anyways, we'll get into it, and I'm going to try and kind of weave in, some of the footage, that I caught of, um, Wei Fen in her shooting her perfect game. So let me bring this up right now, and I'll show you what I've got. Let me remove that. Yeah. Well, there's some Stephanie there because she's right next to Wei Fen there. So, well, let me remove this because. All right, I'm going to try and. I guess I'm not really ready for this just yet. I thought I was. All right. Um, okay, I guess I got to do this in sections here. So where's the video? And of course, I can't seem to pull up this video that I have. Guess it doesn't like me doing that. No. That's not it. Hold on. Let me find it here. So I think it's going to be this one here. So let me add this. No, that one's not it. All right. I'm on the struggle here. But you can probably see here. I think I'll just stick with this and just go with it. So, because I've already got it staged. So, you can see here. I don't know if you guys can see my cursor, but top left, New Wave Fan. She's got the front three already. So what I'm going to try and do is kind of go back and forth. Kind of look at some of the bowlers and where the standings are. And I think I'm going to have to stop that, get back to here. Fun stuff, learning all this. And I think we've got it. Oh, I got to add the stage. We'll watch a shot here with Daphne Tan. All right, well, she missed. Yeah, trying to get all these windows going. It's kind of fun. So anyways, we've got, I think I got my little markup tool here, right? Yeah. All right. So got New Wave Fan leading after two blocks. Pretty nice lead, a little over about 112 pins. That's pretty good. That's almost almost a full mark per game. So she's doing something right. And then you got the veteran Shannon Pluhowski. She's right behind. Well, 112, behind. And then she's got a nice sizable lead. About 70 pins on Brianna Cote. I think that's how you pronounce her last name, Cote. Then you got Cherry Tan, Swazwani Sahar, She throws really good. I like the way she throws it. And then Lee Jane Sen, she was the champion from last week. And then you got Brittany Smith, and then Rocio from Colombia. She's right there, right in the middle of it. And then you got Liz Johnson, the GOAT. She's kind of backed into it a little bit. You can kind of see she backed in, pair of 193s to finish out the day. I'm sure she'll come back strong tomorrow. Tomorrow they've got the third of the field was cut, top 25. You can kind of see that here. So it cut to the top 25, and Verity just snuck in. Looks like she kind of backed into it. So she looks like she caught a break because, there's the next person behind her was 2 pins behind her. So Verity caught a break, and, hopefully she'll turn it around, tomorrow. So let's see. We kind of go back here. So we got almost here. So then we got Brianna Klimmer. We got Stephanie. And Stephanie, you can see her 6-game block in the afternoon here. Started off with that. I thought it was 278, but they listed here as 279. Kind of wondering about that. I thought I saw 278, but whatever. And then, it looks like from pair to pair, Stephanie was kind of having some challenges there. I mean, even if you look at her first block, it kind of looked like she was struggling from pair to pair. I liked how she was playing them. She's feeding it out to the right, the break point, probably 4, 5, 6, 7, kind of riding right around there, kind of floating through, 8, 9, 10, 11, kind of maybe depending on whatever the pair was doing. But, I thought she had the rev rate to keep the ball stood up, because it seemed like a lot of girls that were trying to go and kind of push it off, push it to the right, shorter patterns. So generally speaking, your break points are a little bit further right. And, I thought Stephanie was playing them right. And maybe, maybe they were just tougher than, well, the scores were pretty high. So it's hard to say, exactly what she was encountering or what she was seeing. But it kind of looked pair to pair for Stephanie is a little bit difficult. But she looks like she did kind of figure that out when she got into the second block. Obviously with the first game, on the fresh, she had 11 strikes that game, and I thought it was an 8 spare, but anyways, they backed it up with a pair of 180s. So probably, I didn't watch those games. So, maybe some transition, maybe following people that were breaking them down differently than how she was seeing them. Could be anything really. And then you look here, this close, this finish, that's a strong finish right there to get in, because she was out. I think she was, hovering around 30th to, probably around 30th to 40th spot right in there. She was kind of hovering around, and then she just turned it on, and she finished 224, 260, 259. That's basically 20 strikes. That's pretty close to 20 strikes out of 24 frames, within that range there. So 149 was a number. So you could say, maybe after that 260, she could have just kind of coasted in with the 200, but she finished strong with that 259, almost got herself into that top 10 range. So kind of I don't really have an expectation, but tomorrow morning, it's going to be fresh again, and I think that she has a pretty good idea of what her strategy is going to be and how to attack them. And then, beyond that, probably just, maybe handle the transition a little bit better. And maybe, I don't know if she's got someone with her, as far as kind of scouting, what that next pair is doing or the next 2 pairs are doing. Maybe kind of give her a little bit of a better idea of what to expect out of those next couple of pairs. But hopefully she'll turn it on, and get herself into the top spots to compete for the tournament. So nice to see.